The Trump administration's latest director of national intelligence, John Ratcliffe, is now 24 hours into his new job. The former Republican congressman was sworn in yesterday, but his nomination and confirmation didn't come without controversy and pushback from Democrats. Earlier this month, reports pointed out that his now defunct official campaign Twitter account followed other accounts linked to QAnon, an online conspiracy theory group. It's unclear if it was Ratcliffe or others with access to his Twitter feed following those accounts. As Ratcliffe leaves Congress, other candidates itching to get to Capitol Hill also appear to have connections to QAnon, including Oregon Republican Senate nominee Jo Rae Perkins.
Where we go one, we go all. I stand with President Trump. I stand with Q and the team. Thank you, Anons, and thank you, Patriots, and together we can save our republic.
She posted this video the night she won the primary, but it has since been taken down. In recent interviews, Perkins said she was, quote, bummed that her campaign consultants removed the clip. Let's bring in CNET senior producer Dan Patterson to talk about this. Dan, first help us understand QAnon. Followers are entrenched in American politics, and they call themselves patriots. What is their worldview of Washington and the political arena?
Yeah, so we have talked about this group, QAnon, for the last 18 months or so in the context of them being a hard right and fringe conspiracy group. So this organization, this group, believes that there is a, air quotes, deep state conspiracy to take down Donald Trump connected to cannibalistic Democrats who also are involved in pedophilia and child trafficking. None of this is true, but it was born through message boards like 4chan, then later 8chan, which rebranded as 8kun and is now hosted in Russia. Again, none of these conspiracies are true. However, the group has migrated from those fringe elements into mainstream politics, again, over the last 18 months or so. And now we are seeing them at places like DNI and in Congress, really important jobs where facts matter.
Yeah, you sort of threw out a couple of their conspiracy theories, and it may sound like super wacky, but you point out that the FBI is actually now taking it seriously. And I kind of like, it's hard to say QAnon is a group because it's a very, very loose group. I mean, we're talking about an anonymous person that sort of leaves these sort of hints or breadcrumbs online. One could be one person, could be many people, we don't really know. And then individuals who are drawn to this information, for I'm putting that in air quotes. But who could forget Pizzagate? I mean, because of some of this stuff brought forward by QAnon, allegedly, somebody showed up at a pizza parlor in Washington, D.C. with a gun to prove the theory's right. So, when the FBI says you should take this seriously, they're not joking.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Anne-Marie. And look, the origins of Pizzagate, where a QAnon person did go into a pizzeria in Washington, D.C. with an automatic weapon, that is not the only instance of violence. So often members of this conspiracy, and again, it is a loose-knit group, like you said, Anne-Marie, there really isn't a leader. However, they organize around these message boards. And the traffic is significant. So there's, between 20 and 30 million posts per month, or views per month generated by QAnon traffic. And they will often say, the FBI will say, especially when, I've had experiences where QAnon has threatened me, the FBI says, look, it takes, one person in 1,000 or one person in 1,000,000 who has violent inclinations. So, it may not be that every member of this conspiracy is violent, but they certainly have instances of violence tracking very recently. We can see that members who were associated with QAnon, the El Paso shooting, the Christchurch shooting, these are all involved in the same and very similar acts of violence. So you are absolutely right, Anne-Marie. When the FBI says to take this seriously, the violence associated with QAnon seriously, we need to listen to them.
Dan, has there been any discussion online within and I've been saying QAnon, but I guess it's QAnon, community about Ratcliffe being the new director of national intelligence?
Yeah. Again, not to play into stereotypes or make this sound kind of humorous, but in the back of your head, you can kind of hear this chant, "One of us, one of us." Look, um, the QAnon conspiracy is brought together by a few things, and that is sometimes just coded language. So you will see hashtags that say, like, "where we go one, we go all," or "waiting for the storm," or similar types of language. Even the letter Q, the QAnon people will use that if the president has a Q. Is a part of his questions or his answers, they will lead into that with a coded language. So when people like Ratcliffe use or have QAnon associated with them, that is coded language to the other members that, hey, we one of us. I'm one of you. You are one of us.
So, for the longest time, QAnon was sort of relegated to these sort of fringe, bulletin boards like it's 4chan and then 8chan and off in the fringes. And increasingly now we're seeing that some of these conspiracy theories that have been pushed forward by QAnon are part of the public conversation, definitely more mainstream. And I don't think you can get a better example than a political candidate who, pledges her allegiance to QAnon only to have her own people say that's ridiculous, you can't do that, and for her to sort of fight against her own people, to pushing forward a QAnon. What is driving this into the mainstream? Because some of these theories just seem like straight, outer space, like way out there.
Sadly, the answer is very easy: money, power, web traffic. That's what's driving QAnon. Look, QAnon has, like I said earlier, 20 to 30 million views a month it was generating for 8chan before 8chan went down. It is not insubstantial. When I've been doxxed and attacked, what we call brigading by QAnon, I use data tools to measure the inbound traffic. And these are, not exaggerating, tens of thousands of posts, sometimes over an extended period of time. Yes, there is what we call coordinated inauthentic activity keeping this alive. These are sometimes bots or sock puppets. These are real people logging into fake accounts. Sometimes actual bots push this, but a lot of QAnon is actual human beings, and there are apparently hundreds of thousands, if not millions of them. And Anne-Marie, the financial incentives are very clear. There's a lot of good reporting from the New York Times and other places that detail how YouTube traffic, AdSense traffic, advertising traffic is huge. So the reason QAnon continues and is moving mainstream is not that there are more people buying into QAnon or really believe these outlandish conspiracies. It is that there is a significant financial incentive provided by the big technology firms in the form of advertising.
So fascinating. Dan, always pleasure talking to you, always illuminating. Thank you so much.
Good to see you.